Hello and welcome back to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. The Premiership is back for another weekend after the international break, an international break of plenty of highs, some lows as well, and I think those are contrasted pretty well in our review of the UEFA Nations League matches, which is more, to be fair, a review of the overall week as a whole for Scotland. Obviously, Euro 2020 qualification secured, but perhaps a missed opportunity in the Nations League as we lost those two games and perhaps gave away a good chance of obtaining World Cup 2022 and Euro 2024 playoff spots. So if you want to check that out, that's our most recent video on the channel prior to this one. So go check that out. Premiership action's back now. International football for 2020 is over. Back in March. So we've got, I think, Stephen Robinson, we'll hear from him shortly, Motherwell manager, saying that they, for example, have 19 games between now and the next international break. So plenty of football to come in Scotland, both in the Premiership, League Cup and Scottish Cup as well as we move on through the winter. So we'll look on the return of Premiership action today, a full card of games. Got 5 on the Saturday and then 1 on the Sunday. Dundee United versus Hamilton, Kilmarnock versus Ross County. We've got Hibs v Celtic, St Johnstone v Motherwell, and Livingston versus St Mirren. So plenty of action on the Saturday before then. A really interesting one on the Sunday. It is Rangers versus Aberdeen. A big one for Derek McInnes' side as they look to prove their mettle in some of these big games. They've had good experiences on the road to Ibrox in recent seasons, but we'll look back on, or look to that game, I should say, in a wee while. Looking at the Premiership schedule just now, we'll start with Dundee United Hamilton. It's a big one this for Hamilton. You feel obviously Dundee United, they've hit a wee bit of decent-ish form, not perhaps firing on the goal front. Fans slightly annoyed with some of the style of play of Mickey Mellon's team in terms of goals, but they are also sitting 5th in the Premiership just now, albeit perhaps not really anywhere close to 4th and 3rd just now, but they are still 5th in the league, and despite not perhaps clicking in attack, they have been keeping lots of clean sheets because of the form of Benjamin Siegrist, their goalkeeper. For Hamilton, it is another big one. They obviously had a bit of a reprieve last weekend. Their game against Albion Rovers in the League Cup, a dead rubber because they were already out of that group. They beat Ayr, but they had suffered 2 sort of painful defeats to League 2 opposition in Annan and Stranraer. So Brian Rice is obviously coming under a bit of pressure. That comes as well after an 8-0 defeat to Rangers. So the pressure was on and perhaps slightly alleviated with a free weekend after they got a 3-0 walkover against Albion Rovers due to their COVID problems. But really tough test for them against Dundee United. They're in need of a real boost, the fan base, after a really tough few weeks. Going to Dundee United has proven this season they're really compact, and it will be a tough challenge for Accies. But you wouldn't bet against Hamilton in a game like this. This, for me, is prime Hamilton. Just when everybody thinks Hamilton are done, people start to write Hamilton off after a couple of these bad results, and then Hamilton go to Tannadice and win. That would not surprise me in the slightest, because that's what Hamilton have did in the Premiership for the last few seasons and that's what's kept them up. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Brian Rice coming under a bit of pressure, in my opinion. Some of that slightly unjust, but that's for another video. I suppose we'd be here for a wee while if that was the case. But that's the first fixture. The other fixture, Hibs versus Celtic, a really tantalising one this. Jack Ross's side, big games. They've lost to Aberdeen, they've lost to Hearts. Overall, it's been a really strong season for them, but Hibs fans do want to see big performances, big results in these big games. And Celtic at home is another chance for them to prove that. We heard from Jack Ross ahead of the game. Joe Newell and Ophir Marciano are 2 players with their contracts coming to an end this season, but Jack Ross is hoping that they can prolong the stay of those 2 players into the next season and beyond the Easter Road.
Well, he's been in that form all season. I think our defensive record has been good. Number of clean sheets, but also the number of goals we've conceded from open play. Is not that many. And Ophir's played a big part of that. And his display midweek, I think, was just reflective of how he's been this season. So undoubtedly, like in the game against Rangers you mentioned earlier, he had to make a couple of big saves in that game. So it's every chance that he'll have to do that again tomorrow. But for me, it's nice to go into the game believing that you have a goalkeeper that is capable of doing that. Because I think he's shown that as recently as obviously midweek. Yeah, I think we've initiated some conversations with the Fears representatives, and I think they remain ongoing. I don't think they've. It's only been fairly recently we've done that, but I think if Fears aware that we would be keen to prolong his stay at the club. As always, players have their own individual decisions to make with regards to personal and professional life as to what is best for them. But certainly, I've been delighted with his form this season, and pleased that I have one of the stronger goalkeepers in the league. Yeah, very similar to Fear that the same type of conversations have been initiated, because we would like to again prolong Joe's stay. What we're trying to do as well is cut down on the turnover of players that we have within each window. So hopefully we can bring an increased stability to our squad. We feel as if we're doing that as each passing window, and make sure that we have a core group that we think can bring us success. So Fear and Joe have played pretty much every game this season and have performed at a good level. So it would be common sense for us to try and keep them at the club, particularly when for the Fear as a goalkeeper and for Joe's an outfield players are arguably getting to the peak years of their career as well.
We also heard from one of the men in question, Joe Newell. Joe Newell's actually not played all that much against Celtic since he last came up here, and against Rangers as well, and the other games against the Old Firm team. He was also dragged at half-time. His words, not mine. So he's hoping for a more positive experience this time round against Celtic.
No, not really. I think my agent might have started talking to the club and vice versa and stuff, but there's nothing. I've not really thought in depth about it. I've loved my time up here since I've kind of got my foot in the door. So obviously COVID coming's kind of ruined it on and off the pitch really for me. So yeah, well, I think when the conversation comes around, then obviously we'll sort it out then. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, I've only been at 2 previous clubs. I'm not kind of someone to jump around and stuff. Maybe that's because no one else wants me, but. Yeah, when I'm happy and settled, I kind of enjoy it, and I like being there for a while. So, yeah, like I said, when that conversation does come around with the club and my agent and stuff, I'm sure we'll try and get something sorted as soon as possible. Either way, yeah, obviously when you come up here, it's a big pull, isn't it? But I remember my second game for Hibs, we lost 5-1 away at Ibrox, and I got dragged at half time. So sometimes it doesn't work out quite as nice as what you think, but they're big games to play, and obviously it would have been a lot better if all the fans are here tomorrow. But yeah, the big games, they're good teams, and it's a kind of sign of how we're doing as a team, as a club, how we come up against them.
Kilmarnock versus Ross County is another one. Kilmarnock, they built up a wee bit of decent form in the League Cup. Couple of 2-0 victories there after a consecutive run of 1-0 defeats in the league. This one, again, they're similar to Dundee United with one key difference. Kilmarnock seem to be doing very well at remaining compact at the back, keeping teams out, but they are also still struggling to score. The big difference with them is that they have been losing that odd goal in these games, and that's what's led to 3 consecutive 1-0 defeats in the Premiership recently. Hibs, Rangers and St Johnstone away. Most all those games are 3 really close fixtures. If Kilmarnock had taken some of the chances they were afforded in those games, they maybe could have nicked a point or perhaps more in each of those games. So Alex Dyer will really want to rectify that against Ross County, a Ross County side who started the season really well, have hit the rocks a wee bit in recent weeks. But Stuart Kettlewell side, again, their aim for the season was to stay up. They are going to have to start picking up points soon. I mean, they're in 9th place in reading the league table here. St Mirren have 3 games in hand on them in 11th, and Hamilton have 2 in 12th. So they will want to start picking up points sooner rather than later. But away to Kilmarnock, that'll be a tough ask. However, these teams are probably quite evenly matched going into this one, so perhaps one to keep an eye on, perhaps not one to put any money on, because this one really could go either way. Livingston versus St Mirren at the Tony Macaroni Arena is the penultimate game we're looking at on this Saturday, and we heard from St Mirren boss Jim Goodwin ahead of the match.
I definitely think we are better equipped to deal with suspensions and injuries, but obviously we want to try and avoid the suspensions. We can all accept bookings from time to time for for good, strong tackles and what have you. I think Joe's been very unfortunate on both occasions. I have to say, and people might not be shocked to hear someone like me say that, but I have to say, I think his red card against Ross County, in my opinion, was a good, strong tackle. And the red card against Queen's Park at the weekend, I can understand why the referee has given it, but if anybody cares to watch the incident back, there's definitely no intent. His eye never leaves the ball. There's no action towards the Queen's Park player's head. There's no, he doesn't point his elbow or swing it or anything like that. So, I've seen yellow cards given in those instances before, but unfortunately Joe's felt the brunt of it. Whether that's his reputation going before him, I don't know, but it's not ideal, and it's something that we've spoke about, and I can't afford to keep losing guys like Joe, because he's a very good, experienced player for us, and I need those guys to be available and be on the park. We're all in the same boat, obviously as footballers we're lucky that we can get on with our day job and obviously have a game to look forward to most weekends, but the rest of our families and our friends are all in a similar situation to all of the supporters out there. They'd all love to be going to the games and getting behind their team and going to the pub for a pint, but unfortunately it just is what it is at the moment. And I'm pretty sure everybody out there is sick of listening to guys like me talking about it, but of course we're desperate to give the fans some kind of excitement and to give them some kind of joy.
Another we heard from ahead of this one is Jay Emmanuel-Thomas, who was speaking last weekend after he got his first couple of goals for Livingston in the 4-1 League Cup victory over Airdrie. It's been a long road back for him in football. He was obviously out in Thailand, spent 18 months out of professional football, and is now finally beginning to get into his stride at Livingston, and he feels that way.
Obviously, it's been a long time coming. Had a few opportunities in other games to get the first goal, but obviously it didn't happen. But it's nice to get the first one and the second one today. Yeah, no, obviously it takes time, especially to obviously it's a new team. Got to get used to the way the team plays, manager's philosophy, and it seems that obviously week by week is coming together. And obviously today I was at to pay my respects for them to let me come there by scoring 2 goals. No, I never doubt my ability to play football. Certain circumstances occurred due to obviously COVID situations, means I couldn't really just go in anywhere and train at an early stage because obviously there was rules, and then football stopped and everything paused. So if everything stops in the football league, that means that there's nowhere for me to go. So I just had to stay focused and keep training by myself throughout the period of time when I was back home in London, and then after that it was about coming here and showing them that I can still perform at the top level.
Final game on the Saturday is St Johnstone versus Motherwell. St Johnstone, again, teams are very similar in the Premiership this season. I don't think anybody, with the exception of a few, have particularly went and won games consistently. 1-0, 2, 3-0, so on and so forth. It has been really tight, and this one proves that it could be similar. St Johnstone v Mull, last time these two teams played, it was extremely tight, and Mull got that just wee rub of the green that they hadn't had up until that point in the season, winning 1-0. St Johnstone again struggling for goals, but they have managed to start nicking a goal or two in some games, St Johnstone, as well as that, they're keeping clean sheets. So this one will likely be a really tight one. Stephen Robinson able to welcome back players to his team. Before this one, they've had a slate of injuries. Stephen Robinson quoted as saying being down to the bare bones in recent times that I've spoke to him. But ahead of this one, he has confirmed that he is set to welcome back a lot of its players, as well as Declan Gallagher and Stephen O'Donnell could still feature despite playing for Scotland in Israel on Wednesday. The two Mull men have been brilliant for Scotland in the last week, I should say, and then the couple of matches they played. Declan Gallagher especially doing really well up against Mitrovic in the Serbia game, which secured Euro 2020 qualification. So Stephen Robinson had a wee bit to say at his press conference on Friday, reflecting on injuries, Scotland, and Declan Gallagher and Stephen O'Donnell.
Well, we've used it to strains the 2 weeks in international duty because you're not playing for anything, but the motivation's certainly been there to get fitter, to get our injuries back again. So we've been able to do quite a lot of work. Obviously, the international boys, Alan and Barry, when they came back into the fold yesterday. Stephen and Declan they're back in this morning again, so we haven't had a chance to see them or even see how they are at this moment in time. But yeah, for the other boys, we've worked hard. You know, we've used the time wisely and got everybody back fit again. So, you know, hopefully almost a fully fit squad to pick. Yeah, listen, I'm delighted for Scotland as a whole, for the nation, for Steve, for all the staff involved in it. It's been a long time coming, and you know, richly deserved. Absolutely delighted for them, and I know who I'll be supporting in the Euros anyway. My partner Robin had the game on their iPad. I had the Northern Ireland game on the main TV, but I was made the mixture. I was trying to sing Flora Scotland and celebrate the penalties. So listen, I'm absolutely delighted for them. I think I'm becoming more patriotic towards Scotland the more I stay here. So it's great for everybody involved. I think it's great for the country as a footballing nation to be back in amongst the big boys again, and they've deserved it, and full credit to everybody involved. Yeah, Bevis is back. We've been quite lucky with Bevis because he's been able to train non-contact for most of the time he's been out, so fitness levels won't be a problem. Ricky's been back this week, so he's done a little bit less, but he's available. Sherman Cedar's done a little bit less, but again available. So everybody, bar Jake and Charles and Harry, who got injured at Cunha South, we're gradually getting people back.
Is Jake not far away as well?
Well, he's been running. He's out in the pitch. I'm trying to get him to join in proper training, but the physios are obviously been extremely careful with him, which is right. We can't rush him when you've been out this long. You know, an extra few weeks won't hurt anybody.
On this Sunday, the final game of the weekend, we have Rangers versus Aberdeen at Ibrox. Lunchtime kickoff. One, I think, perhaps game of the weekend. There's a lot of good games on this weekend. Obviously, you've got the top four all playing each other, which is obviously quite exciting. As well as that, I'm assuming there'll be a fair bit of movement up and down the table just with the variety of teams playing each other in different positions in the league. Livingston and St Mirren, for example, 10th and 11th there. Obviously, 4 points are separating Livingston and St Mirren, but St Mirren do have 3 games in hand, and Livingston, if St Mirren were able to get the victory in that one, that'd be a massive boost for Jim Goodwin's side. But alas, we will look at Aberdeen's chances away to Ibrox. They have secured some decent results over Rangers in recent times, winning in the League Cup semi-final. They won in Scottish Cup action at Ibrox as well. They have shown that they can match Rangers, they can get results against Rangers, but this is a very different Rangers team they are playing. Even the one at the start of the season, when they played Aberdeen, really weren't at it. Rangers as well, still finding their feet. They're now playing a Rangers side who still haven't been beaten this season domestically or in any competitions for that matter. So this will be probably the toughest test Aberdeen have faced this season. So be interesting to see what Derek McInnes' side are made of. A lot of fingers are pointed at them. When it comes to these big games, can they handle the occasion? So this is another chance for them to prove that they can do just that and perhaps nick an unlikely point. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 3. But that's all the Premiership action for this weekend. We hope you have enjoyed this sort of short preview ahead of the weekend. We'll be back to review the action over the weekend, and we're going to be at plenty of games over the weekend. I think not get the numbers quite to hand, but I'm pretty sure that it will be Not the Old Firm's biggest slate of games in terms of action up and down the football pyramid in Scotland. And the Premiership on the Saturday will be at 3 matches: Kilmarnock v Ross County, Livingston v St Mirren, and St Johnstone v Motherwell. Tonight, as this goes live on Friday, we are also going to be at Dunfermline v Hearts, so you can check out our website on the Saturday morning and the Friday night to see the report from that and the thoughts of Stevie Crawford and Robbie Nielsen. Really tantalising clash at the top of the Championship. We've got other fixtures as well. Dundee versus Ayr United is another one we'll be at. Dundee obviously signing a couple of key players in the last couple of weeks. Liam Fontaine's one that's been added ahead of that one. So do check out our reports from that. We'll have League One action, Falkirk versus Cove Rangers, and a big battle at the top of that division, as well as injury hit Partick Thistle against East Fife. And as well as that, we've even got League Two action, Queen's Park versus Brecon City, and Stenhousemuir versus Ann. So plenty going on up and down the divisions, plenty that you can see on Not the Old Firm's website and our social media. So do follow us on that via the link in the description, and as well check out our websites. Content roughly going out hourly just now, so do check that out as well. Whilst you're here on YouTube, we do thank you again for watching. Please do subscribe to our channel, like this video, and until next time, take it easy.